Borderlands 3 was easily one of my most anticipated video games of the past decade, and as of today, it is 2 years old. I have over 500 hours, have unlocked every achievement the game has to offer, and have made multiple videos going over my thoughts on the game. But the game has changed a lot within its past year, so I wanted to make a one-stop shop video covering every piece of content and telling you all the pros and cons of my experience, and if I think this is a game for you. I'm Kai, welcome to Awesomazing. Let's enter the mayhem with Borderlands 3. In terms of looting and shooting, there is no other game on the market that is remotely in the ballpark as Borderlands 3. The astounding arsenal was insane at launch and has only gotten better with time. Gearbox's decision to quite literally stick to their guns led to what is easily my favorite gun system in any video game. All 9 weapon manufacturers bring interesting mechanics, the 5 elements as well as non-elemental all have purpose and utility, reloads and inspect animations are beautifully crafted, weapon handling feels excellent on both controller and keyboard and mouse, the details and the randomly generated attachments, the red text and names of weapons that have countless references to pop culture, and more. The loot system in Borderlands 3 is the best it's ever been and easily the best part of the game. 3 also does a great job in not forcing itself to reinvent the wheel. Gunplay feels smoother, mobility is enhanced, visuals take a leap forward, customization is better, and countless quality of life improvements that level up damn near all of the gameplay elements you loved within Borderlands 2. The crew of Vault Hunters you get to play with in Borderlands 3 are insanely powerful and fun. The skill trees and versatility you get with them are the greatest they've ever been in a Borderlands game. Finding out what works for your playstyle and then being able to sync that with the right loadout of weapons and items is the most rewarding feeling. So many games drip feed your progress, especially in looter shooters, but Borderlands 3 is not one of those games. You feel strong out the gate, and the more time you invest into your character will lead to more power and satisfaction that you'll unlock by crafting your Vault Hunter. Worlds are incredibly replayable even after credits have rolled because you have bosses and enemies to run back for loot, and with the game looking as beautiful as it does, it makes returning enjoyable every single time. And you have several modes within the base game to occupy your time with after you finish the campaign. You have the Proving Grounds, 6 time trials that test your skills, and the Circles of Slaughter, narrated by Mr. Torg, a 5-round gauntlet where you fight for loot against waves of enemies. Both of these modes are excellent test beds to challenge yourself and refine your builds for all of your Vault Hunters. You also have 2 takedowns as well. The Maliwan takedown is damn near perfect, right length, appropriate level of challenge, fun bosses, and worthwhile loot, but the Guardian Breach, which has fun bosses, has some frustrating progression design and lackluster loot. It's been improved since its debut, but it's still very much a one and done encounter for me and most players. Stick with the Maliwan takedown. In terms of overall difficulty, Normal and True Vault Hunter offer the same challenge, the latter just resetting missions. The true challenge in Borderlands 3 comes from Mayhem mode. You unlock it after completing the campaign in normal mode. As you go up Mayhem levels, you will have modifiers put into your gameplay that will add extra challenge. And you are rewarded in Mayhem 11 by not having to deal with modifiers anymore if you'd like. Mayhem took several months to be tuned and evolved to the state it is, and even though it is still pretty jank as a difficulty system, I feel it is a drastically better way to handle difficulty compared to Ultimate Vault Hunter in Borderlands 2. Ultimate Vault Hunter just felt like it was hard for the sake of it, and I never felt as if my gameplay improved. It ruined the single player experience of 2 for me and never felt rewarding or worthwhile. My squad and I have just never been fans of that level of difficulty. The scalable level of difficulty players get to choose and work up towards is far more digestible and fair than what was present before. If you were annoyed, and justifiably so, with the way Mayhem was in the first few months of the game, it is in a far better state now. Recently, Gearbox decided to take the limited time season events that rotated throughout both years and make them permanent. The Bloody Harvest, Broken Hearts, and Cartel events are now toggleable modes that you can select in the main menu before you load into a character. This change alone has given my friends and I so much replayability. My only critique being that we haven't gotten any new seasonal events since the end of year 1. All I want is a Mercenary Day Christmas event. I don't care if it's copy and paste from the Borderlands 2 Headhunter, I just want to be able to beat some snowmen and have a fun way to farm. Fingers crossed. And finally, Gearbox's updates have been stellar over the past 2 years. Anyone jumping into Borderlands 3 right now is playing the game in the best state it's ever been in. Mayhem, drop rate, farm locations, and what feels like thousands of weapon buffs, sometimes a dozen in a single week, have constantly kept me logging into Borderlands 3. Throughout the past 2 years, there have been constant reasons to experiment and keep coming back. But at the end of the day, how much time you spend in Borderlands 3 is ultimately up to you. Are you the type of person who wants to try every gun, play every Vault Hunter, and make a ton of different builds to make the most busted character possible? Or are you the one and done player who just wants to stick to a single Vault Hunter and just go through everything once? Your playstyle will determine how much you enjoy the endgame. As the type of player who loves to play all the characters as well as make multiple builds, I have countless reasons to keep coming back. So know who you are as a player to know how you want to engage the content at the pace you have the most fun with. Borderlands 3 is designed in a way to give you several avenues to experiment and design your badass the way you want. And whether you choose to go that alone or with friends, you will always have something to enjoy. Especially with friends.
Do you mind the dumpster fire of a human being?
Oh fuck! Oh
fuck! So long, gay Bowser.
Now let's talk about the part in Borderlands 3 that gets the most criticism from the community, the campaign story. This story gets a bad rep because it is a significant step down from Borderlands 2 and Tales from the Borderlands. You can feel the lack of Anthony Burch's specific brand of wit and fun within the narrative here. And I think I have a pretty good hypothesis on why the campaign ended up being as all over the place and controversial as it did. Borderlands 3's story moves the franchise in a new direction without living in the shadow of Handsome Jack. The problem is that the direction was every single one instead of forward. You know, Dance Dance Revolution? That's how this game's story feels. It tries to go in every damn direction and loses a lot of its focus in the process. But considering that Gearbox had the massive undertaking of getting a team of writers trying to continue a story without its main architect, it's not surprising. They're trying to fill the void of the writer who created such iconic characters and dialogue, and he's not there now. And knowing that, it's easier to analyze why this game's story is a Fustercluck. You can tell that there were too many people in the writing room who wanted to take the story in specific directions, which led to a narrative that is easy to follow and paced well alongside its gameplay, but makes some critical errors with its cast of characters at times. Despite the inconsistent quality of the campaign storytelling though, I never wanted to stop playing. A, because the gameplay loop of this game never stops being fun, but B, the story never bored me. I've played campaigns, even past Borderlands ones, that have made me put down the game out of pure boredom. 3 never made me feel that. I've played through the campaign 8 times, twice per character, and each time I enjoy the moments the story gets right far more than the things it doesn't. And in the end, I feel that the community response actually ended up helping in the long haul. Gearbox took the DLC expansions for Borderlands 3 as opportunities to improve the storytelling department and took the critiques of the campaign to heart. Jackpot DLC is easily my favorite story involving Moxxi, and I love seeing Timothy. Gage is a blast in DLC 2, and some of the side missions in that expansion are the best in all of Borderlands 3. Bounty of Blood is a western gunslinger tale that is unlike any Borderlands story to date in the best way. The Fustercluck DLC is a wild adventure that straight up retcons one of the worst decisions in the campaign. And DLC 6 makes Ava a character instead of a caricature with legitimate growth, struggle, and evolution. Damn near every single complaint that I had in my year 1 video was addressed and fixed in some way via 3's expansions. If you like 3's gameplay but were disappointed by the main narrative, the DLCs pick up the ball, and the writing team has made solid improvements in working towards the tone and quality that fans expect. And on that subject, I'll give quick thoughts on each of the expansions for Borderlands 3 and which ones I can recommend. DLC 1, Moxxi's Heist of the Handsome Jackpot, started year 1 season pass strong. This DLC pretty much checks off every box that I want to see in a Borderlands expansion. It has a great story that helps add to the lore of Handsome Jack in a refreshing way. The narrative balances comedy and tension well. The music and visuals complement each other beautifully for your entire journey throughout the Hyperion Casino, and with a plethora of new casino-themed guns to enjoy. Jackpot gets an S rank, starts the season pass cycle off strong, and kicks ass in pretty much every department. DLC 2, Guns, Love, and Tentacles, The Marriage of Wainwright and Hammerlock, much like its name, is a messy DLC for me. I didn't enjoy the narrative where they sidelined the wedding for the most shallow and uninspired villains possible I've seen in a Borderlands game. And the bosses fall flat in this expansion when they really shouldn't, considering the Lovecraftian vibe and potential that brings. But the rest of Guns, Love, and Tentacles is good. I love the aesthetic of Zylorgos. I feel like someone in the design team was like, hey, let's take Hoth from Star Wars but make it Halloween 24/7. And they just did it. You feel it in the world design, enemies, guns, and score. And even though I find this expansion's narrative disappointing, Gage is done incredibly well in this DLC, and she does at the end of the day save the story from being entirely forgettable. Furthermore, helped by side missions that have some of the best storytelling in the whole game. So I'm giving DLC 2 a B rank. DLC 3, Bounty of Blood, A Fistful of Redemption, has the most drastic tone shift of any of the DLCs. The story is a classic western, even accompanied by a mythic narrator. The mix of western valleys and ghost towns with Asian architecture gives Gehenna a phenomenal aesthetic. The guns are insane in this expansion. Some of the best weaponry in the whole game is just in DLC 3. There's fun enemy design and some great bosses. My main critique of this expansion is the score. I haven't mentioned it yet in this video, but the music in Borderlands 3 is easily one of my favorite soundtracks in any video game. It covers so many genres and styles that do a great job of immersing you into the universe. But Bounty of Bloods is a real letdown in comparison. This is considered combat music. Like, what the even is this? There have been times where I have just turned off music while rerunning this expansion, and that's the first time I've ever said that for a Borderlands game. So all in all, I'm going to give DLC 3 also a B rank. I think it's a DLC that nails its vision with its western tale, fun bosses, godlike weapons, and compelling visuals, but the inconsistent music and so-so side missions hold it back. DLC 4, Krieg and the Fantastic Fustercluck, is easily my favorite out of the 4 DLCs in year 1 for Borderlands 3. The Jekyll and Hyde back and forth between both halves of Krieg is extremely entertaining. The retcon they do with a certain character had me losing my mind. The dialogue is well written across the board that perfectly balances comedy and sincerity. The visuals are insane. You feel like you're on drugs for so much of this DLC. Sapphire Starlight in particular being one of my favorite levels in the whole game. The score pops off way harder than it has any right to, some of the best music in the entirety of the Borderlands franchise, and again, some great weapons and items. I know that this expansion is not the community's favorite, but I love when Borderlands goes bonkers with level design and ideas, and I have a soft spot for this expansion. S rank. This expansion to me is Borderlands at its absolute best, and I cannot recommend it enough. DLC 5, The Designer's Cut, the start of the controversial Year 2 Season Pass with experimental DLC. In a year that solidified that Gearbox should probably stick to characters and structured world expansions going forward. DLC is something Gearbox has never been fantastic with. Don't forget the level cap was put behind a paywall, as well as the overpriced headhunters for Borderlands 2. The Designer's Cut adds a 4th skill tree for all Vault Hunters and a roguelike mode called Arms Race where you are dropped into a map and have a limited amount of time to hunt for loot and extract alive. The Designer's Cut is by no means a bad expansion, it's just incredibly niche and overpriced. If you don't play all Vault Hunters and don't care about a roguelike mode, then this expansion is completely optional. It's worth it for someone like me who plays every character and enjoys running Arms Race on occasion, but only for people who want both. B rank. Good content, just get it on a sale if you like what it offers. DLC 6, The Director's Cut, a far better second half to the Year 2 Season Pass. You get some behind the scenes stuff, the murder mystery missions, which are short but fun and have a nice little story with a cool reward at the end. The raid boss Hemophorus, which is a blast to rerun and has worthwhile loot, and the vault card system, which gives you daily and weekly challenges. By playing the game with them enabled, gets you extra iridium, cosmetics, weapons, and the chance for diamond keys where you can get high tier legendaries for free. Vault cards need to be in future Borderlands games. They add a ton of replay value, and I hope it's a system that is expanded upon. A rank. If you end up loving Borderlands 3 to the point you play it on a weekly or even daily basis, I feel this expansion is a must-own given how much the vault cards alone improve the quality of life and gameplay loop. So how do I recommend you jump into Borderlands 3? If you're a newcomer, get the Ultimate Edition on sale. This game goes on sale all the time, so save yourself money and get the best version of the game with all content. And for others, buy the expansions you want on sale when money allows. Year 1 is worth it on the weapons and stories alone. The Designer's Cut is extremely optional unless you play all Vault Hunters, and the Director's Cut is great but only designed for those who groove with 3 and wish to play it on a consistent basis. If you played Borderlands 3 near launch but then dropped the game, I'd absolutely say give it another shot. There's enough updates to the base game's content now that warrants a revisit, and if you enjoy a return, expansions that will only enhance your experience. 2 years later, I am still giving Borderlands 3 an A rank. This game has been one of my favorite escapes in the past 2 years, and I know I'll continue to come back for more badass action with friends or myself for years to come. I feel that many of the issues of the game are blown massively out of proportion by people who either lose the forest for the trees or who want to feign ignorance to the game's growth. The gunplay and gameplay is some of the best I've ever played, and 3 has evolved so much over the past 2 years. I highly recommend this game to anyone who wants a fun looter shooter adventure. And the future of Borderlands as a franchise is about to be pretty nuts. We just saw gameplay of Wonderlands and it looks phenomenal, cannot wait to play it in March. The Borderlands movie is a thing, hope it's following the recent trajectory of good video game adaptations. And the Embracer Group bought Gearbox for $1.3 billion, which means Borderlands is not going anywhere anytime soon. Interested to see what they have left in the tank to update 3 and how that will lead into Borderlands 4. I'll end this video with a much needed thank you and update. Y'all changed my life. When I uploaded the Borderlands 3 Year 1 review last year, I had around 300 subs, I think. Now if we keep going on the current trajectory, we could hit 2,000 subs real soon. I get weekly messages from you guys saying how you bought the game or re-downloaded it and are having a blast, and I cannot put into words how much that means. Hell, I got a comment from Killer6, my favorite Borderlands content creator, and that just means the world, man. Being able to talk about a game that I love and have that resonate with so many is the greatest blessing. And it pushed my hobby into something far more than I ever could have dreamed of. I've gotten my first donations in the past year. I have a membership button. I got my second YouTube paycheck last week, and that's only possible with the support y'all give, and I am forever humbled and thankful for your kindness. And I say all of that to lead into this. I'm starting to feel burnout. I'm doing this video to combine all my best Borderlands reviews with the most up-to-date thoughts, and I don't want to keep any old videos when they become outdated and inaccurate. And I've been unlisting or deleting a lot of my content because I'm not satisfied with some things I'm working on recently. I've uploaded so many fodder fluff videos I'm just not proud of. I found myself uploading to make sure I got something out every week, and that's not the reason why I want to do YouTube, to just treat it like another job. I want to do YouTube because I feel like I have a creative voice, and I feel like I'm finding that more and more with Awesomazing. The video essays I've done on games I love and franchises like Avatar: The Last Airbender, that's where I feel my strongest work has come from. And I only want to give you guys the best content I can from this point forward. And I'll be honest, the last month for me was really rough. My mental, emotional, and physical was a roller coaster. Things have definitely been on the up and up, but I need to be honest and start taking more breaks from my mental health. I feel that will help me make better content in the long run because I don't want to make content with a negative mindset. Making videos should improve you, not drain you. I intend to go way harder on the Awesomazing essays. I want to do a musical project in the future, and I am only going to upload content I am fully proud of and love with people I love being creative with. You all have given me the best support in the world, and there is not a day that goes by where I am not humbled by your guys' love. So thank you. I love you all, stay safe, and have a blessed day.